Hello YouTube, Lingo here. I am going to explain to you how I was injured at work. I was operating a picker. Uh, I'm a journeyman boom truck operator, and a picker is one of these. It's used to pick up pipe, uh, anything, and load it on trucks that could pick up, like that needs picking up, that the pole trucks didn't pick up. Like I mostly moved pipe, pipe racks, small things, pretty much anything, everything. Um, it's gotten down to the point I think I was getting where I could load pretty close to 3 trucks an hour hauling pipe. Uh, Plus, I could also run pole truck, moving drilling rigs or moving drilling rigs. That's pretty much all I ever used the pole truck for, as well as bed truck. I run bed truck as well. Tractor and trailer as well, though I don't have a picture of a tractor and trailer I've run, but I've run tractor and trailer as well. I have pretty much run every tractor, trailer, truck combination pretty much utilized as per 1988, 1998. Um, I haul just about everything. As far as rig moving goes, I run pretty much every truck and did every job there was to do on the rig move. Um, I've swamped on picker, bed truck, not a pole truck though. Uh, I run picker, bed truck, pole truck, winch tractor, pipe truck, just hauling pipe, hay shaker. But I had a winch, so just hauling pipe. Truck pushing. I put half a rig together at one time when the boss and the engineer didn't make it. Everybody would have sat around till dinner time when they got there getting paid, but I don't know. I just put the rig together. When they showed up onto the lease, we were just putting the rig onto the cellar, just pinning it actually. So the rig move was pretty much done. Uh, yeah, I just had my swamper on the picker, and I did the rig pushing. So I I run truck. I was the highest paid guy where I worked at the time, and it took a lot for me to get to where I was, to where I worked. I worked hard. I worked my butt off. Like my record for the most hours I've worked in a month, paid hours, is 618, and that's no BS. That 618 hours is my record of hours worked in a month, paid hours. Um, I'd gotten hurt once before. Uh, it was raining and we were moving. I was swamping on a pecker actually. This is just before they gave me my picker, and I fell off the back of the truck and landed on the pins of the collars, like they're the end of the collar where the threading is. Like I landed on the edge, and it split my brisket, and I think it broke one rib and it cracked a couple. Uh, the doctor told me I'd have to take, I don't know, he said 4 to 6 weeks off, and he wanted to know if he wanted to fill in WCB. And I'd heard a lot of stories about WCB, like in my work, and I'd never been on it or nothing like that. And I went to my boss at the time, and he said, what, what happened? Like what would the doctor say?" And I said, "Well, he figures a month to 6 weeks." He said, "Okay, well, we better figure out WCB." And I said, "Well, if you'd rather," I said, "just give me 8 hours a day and I'll stay home. We won't bother with WCB. Like the doctor says, I'll be okay. It's gonna heal and it'll never be a problem for me ever. Once it's healed, it's done." So he said yes. So I pretty much came for coffee one today and went home. And about 3 weeks into it, he called me in, and he come in and he asked me. He said, "I'm stuck for a swamper. I need a swamper for the big bed." He said, "Don't worry, take your time, because I was still hurting, eh? I was still hurting." He said, "Just do what you can. Don't worry about it. But I need a swamper." And I told him, "No problem." I went in swamp like that. I know the bed driver didn't like it, but like I really done some, and like it still hurt everything I did. So I hooked everything up with one hand, and I was really slow, eh? But like I think I did it for 3 days, and till they got a swamp hooray. But I did it, and not long after that, I got my picker, the first picker I ran, and I worked myself from that old picker to, like I said, the highest paid driver where I was working at Marcel's there, uh, running this truck. So the day I got hurt, uh, the casing, it's 10-inch round steel pipe. I think it's 48 feet long. It was flat on the ice, and I couldn't get slings underneath it, eh? So what I there was a part there where I could get slings halfway underneath, so I figured I'll tear it up and I'll lift up one side, put a board underneath, lift up the other side, put a board underneath, and we're set, eh? So what I would do is I would take my bar, I'd put it in the end of the 10-inch casing, put the bar in your elbows here, and then I would stand up holding that casing like this. I would stand up like it was darn heavy, and like I was shaking a little bit when I was doing that because it's like, and then I would walk ahead, and the swamper and rig hand at the other end would roll it up to tears because of how I would hold it. It would. They were able to do that. Well, we got into the last one, and I'm sitting there holding it, and I guess it got away from him, and it bounced down and kind of slapped a little bit, and I'm holding it like this, and it just bent me over and knocked me out. And I remember coming to, and the Swamper and the rig hand were standing over me, and they walked me to my truck. And that's the last thing I remember until I woke up the next morning. I remember I woke up the next morning, the pain in my side, wondering what the fuck was going on. Excuse me, wondering what was going on. And it was March the 1st, because February 28th, 1998 was the day I got hurt. Uh, I never got, I think I got one day off, and this is what I worked in February. Uh, so I woke up and I wanted to grease my truck because I see I never really had much time off, and I was had pain in my side, and I went to the shop. And I was when I got to the shop, when I first got to the yard, I couldn't see my truck, and I thought, "What the shit is going on? Like, where's my truck?" Because nobody drove my truck. Well, it wasn't my truck; it was Marcel's truck. But I was the one that drove it, my kids, and I kept it up pretty good. Mechanical wise, I kept it up as good as I could because your truck is your living. Your truck breaks down, you're broke down. So I always kept it up as best I could. That's why I was going in to grease it. So my truck wasn't in the yard, so I went inside the shop, and my truck was sitting in the shop. I thought, "All right, on, nice and warm. I don't have to worry. Greased it up good." Uh, my side was bothering me. It was gradually getting worse and worse, and I sat there having a coffee, and I figured I better get it done. And like the bed truck driver was there, and he noticed like that I was having a problem, and he said, what's going on, figured out. And I told him what had happened, the day before. And my freaking side hurt, like my stomach hurt, and the boss came in, like the owner came in too, and we got to talking and stuff like that, and he said, "Well, if your side hurts, because I told him what happened too, but my side hurt, like I had pain in my side." Uh, he told me better go to the hospital and get it checked out because I had a friend that had a pain in his stomach and never went to the hospital and he died. Yeah, well, I figured, yeah, yeah. So I figured, well, I better get this done. I better, get my truck greased so I can get home. My stomach's starting to really bother me now. So I got up and I started walking across the shop, and I got about halfway across the shop and I collapsed. I fainted. I was in so much pain. And I they helped me up and they took me to like the coffee room, and he got the big bed driver to take me to the clinic. So I got in to see the doctor, and I told him what had happened the day before, and he hummed and hawed, and he gave me, I don't know, between 40 and 60 Tylenol threes. I can't really remember how many he gave me, but I know it was between 40 and 60. Um, so I went home, and I started eating these things right away. Like the next morning, they called me. They wanted me to go on a rig move, and like I'm already running out of these pills. Like I don't think I had 8 left. I don't think I think I only had 6 to be. That's. I told him I gotta go to the doctor. I said, I'm already out of this medication, and I heard a freaking heck of a lot. I don't think I'm gonna be able to make it. But I got the old spiel. We need you on this rig move, and you know what I mean. It's not gonna take you long. You'll be on. It's only like I think it was only 10 miles out of town or something like that. It was just a little short move. So I said, yeah, okay. Because it'd be back. I figured by dinner time one, if it was a quick little move like that. So I get going, and it's not really like my pain is bothering me, and like I'm going and like on the highway with the seat like that. It's really it bothers me. It hurts, but it's. I was dealing with it, but the minute we turned off off the highway, like wow, wow, like I couldn't handle it, man. I said, well, stop right now. I said, I figured I'll jump into the sleeper and I'll lay in the sleeper. You get to the lease and I'll jump out and I'll do the pricker stuff and then I'll jump back in the sleeper and we'll go home. So I jumped in the sleeper. Swamper starts driving down the road. He gets maybe half a click away and I said, whoa, stop, stop, no, stop, stop, stop. He said, well, let's get to the lease. And he said, no, no, wait. I said, stop, stop. I think I made him stop. And we waited until RMS got met. I can't really remember, but I know the dispatcher come and picked me up and took me back to the doctor. I'm out of medication now. He took me back to the doctor. I went and seen the exact same doctor again. Told him I was out of medication. That my side was really bothering me more and more. Uh, so he gave me 60 Tylenol forms. So I went home and I got home and I was crawling up the stairs because like we lived in a townhouse. So I was crawling up the stairs, and my mom come walking out of the kitchen. She said, "What's wrong with you?" And I was in a lot of pain. I kind of mumbled out what had happened and stuff like that. And she said, "Well, you come with me. You're going to go see my doctor." So she took me to go see her doctor and get inside the doctor's office there, and I'm sitting there in pain, like, and so I explained to her doctor what had happened. So he immediately admits me into the hospital. So I go from there to the hospital. And over the next week to 10 days, they checked absolutely everything out about me. Like they checked if I had diabetes, they checked if I had AIDS, they checked if I had, oh, I don't know, some kind of blood diseases or something. They checked if I had everything, anything. Like they put cameras, I swallowed cameras, they stuck cameras up the back end, barium enemas. They put me through a horrendous set of tests that made me cry pretty much every day. They sent me from Slave Lake to Grand Prairie. They did a barium enema on me. And the next day, they sent me to Grand Prairie to get x-rays. And I think I cried all the way there. And because they could only give me so much medication, like the ambulance people, so they say all the time. So I cried all the way there, and we get there, and they go to take these x-rays, and they can't see nothing in these x-rays. And they say, well, what? And my whole intestines all lit up. And I just got the barium enema the day before, so they couldn't do no x-rays. They couldn't see no shit, no nothing. And then they're going to take me back in the ambulance again and not give me no medications. I said, no, I'm not going there. No way. I'm not riding like that if you guys ain't gonna give me no medication because I'm not gonna deal with that. I cry all the way back, and I still ended up crying most of the way back. But I mean, they did end up giving me a shot of something a little bit stronger, and they continued on with their test, looking for absolutely anything interiorly, anything with my heart, my chest, my kidneys, my lungs, everything. There weren't a frickin' thing wrong with me, man. Not I was fitter than frickin' fit can be, man. Except I had a gouge in my spine and what they call mild dehydrations all over my discs. Oh, um, is what they found in Slave Lake there. So they after they're waiting for this interior specialist. Like they did all these tests and everything, and they brought in this big the interior specialist, and he come in like it was evening when he seen me, and I'm laying in bed, and he comes walking into my room, and he sits down at the table there, and he reads my file, and he looks at me, and reads my file a little bit more, and he looks at me, and he says, "Could you get up, stand up here?" And I said, "I guess so. I got to do what you got to do." So I got up there and I stood up as best I could. I couldn't stand straight. Like they made me stand straight for a few of those tests, and like it just hurt so much. I just cried and was ready to faint and collapse. So I stood as good as I could there, and he said, "Lean this way," and I leaned as far as I could till I hurt too much. And I stopped and said, "As far as I can." He said, "Well, lean this way." And I did the same thing. And then he said, "Well, lean forward." I did that. And he said, "Well, lean backwards." I did that. And he said, "Lay back down in bed there." He said, he told me, well, first he said, "I can't believe," because he looked at all the tests they did, And he said, I can't believe." He couldn't believe it. He said that I had hurt my back so bad that my pain was phantoming all over. He said it's like if you ever get a toothache where your ear hurts and your eye hurts and your neck hurts. And I've had toothaches like that, so I really understood what he meant. So, like, I knew that I had a back problem. A little more than a back problem. Uh, so, he told him he's got no, he's fit as a fiddle other than my back. My back was hurt really bad, he said. So, I go back. They discharged me from the hospital. They couldn't find anything that they were looking for, so they discharged me from the hospital and went back to my mom's doctor there, and he's filling out forms for WCB now. Uh, so you get to the part where they tell you what's the problem, like what's wrong with me. And he says, "Well, He says I have to put something here," and he says, "I don't know what's wrong with you." He said, "I know you're hurt, but I don't know like what it is. So I'm gonna put strain the back." And right away bells went off in my head. You know what I mean? And I said, "Well, Could you use something else? Like it's because I know it ain't a strained back. I know I'm not strained or sprained. But he said, no, that's what I'm going to put. I have to put something, so that's what I'm going to put. So that's what he put, and it's caused me nothing but troubles with WCB. Uh, so that's what happened. And I started on WCB, and that's the story of how I got hurt.